I'm proud of what our residents already have been doing. They've been showing up to Commissioner's Court every time that we have it, and they've been raising their voices in opposition to this. The overwhelming majority of the people who've come and spoken in Commissioner's Court are opposed to this. These are people who are Democrats, people who are independents, and Republicans who have come and spoken and expressed opposition because it's a mid-decade redistricting. It's an awful precedent to set. The last time Fort Bend County did this, it went up to the Supreme Court that completely rejected this sort of action for racial and political reasons.
So you're saying they tried mid-decade redistricting?
Yeah, back in the 90s, they tried it a year before an election. Commissioner Pressage talked about this because an incumbent was afraid of losing his seat, and they quickly changed the maps, and it went to the Supreme Court, and they struck it down. We're in a different paradigm now because the Voting Rights Act has been essentially gutted, but the fact still remains that this is not right. I have no idea. A lot of this has been shrouded in secrecy. There's a Citizens Advisory Committee that me and one of my colleagues, Grady Pressage, have elected to not participate in, and we don't get information about where they're meeting, when they're meeting, what's the agenda for their meetings. I have no idea. We were shocked to learn that the day that they started trying to appoint people to this committee, that just hours later, the first meeting was supposed to happen, and we hadn't even approved anybody. And so this whole process is convoluted. It's happening in back rooms and not in the light of day as residents would expect. Yeah, we do the people's business in the public, and we people are able to come and give their feedback on the business that we do in Commissioner's Court. That is what residents asked for when they came and spoke about even the idea of setting up a citizens redistricting committee, is that meetings be held in the light of day, that meetings be live streamed, that the public have an opportunity to speak, and none of that has happened. And what people have to fear is that when those things happen, it's probably not in their best interest, right? Because if it were, we would have no problem having that discussion out in the open, and that's not how my colleagues have elected to go. The other thing to be concerned with is that the people who have been appointed to these this illegitimate committee already are party insiders. They're not your average person who is engaged in our community. So whose opinions are they really representing? People who are sitting in power already, and not the folks who are being locked out of it. I mean, well, we're not the big boy in the room. Harris County is, and for the foreseeable future, always will be. And so, a lot of the attention goes to them because it's also more people in Harris County, exponentially more than are in Fort Bend. We're kind of coming into our own now. I think people recognize that the future of Texas lies in places like Fort Bend and Tarrant counties, and we're seeing in both of those places the same playbook happening. And I think it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we're continuing to show up every day to do the job, but we're talking to people like you about these issues, so that our community can know that this should not happen in the dead of night. This has to happen in the light of day, and we're gonna do everything we can to expose that. I think the alliance is weak. I think that we have a lot more to do to build trust in these communities. In the AANHPI communities, they're not a monolith. We have to work on our relationships with our Hindu neighbors as well as our Muslim neighbors. We have to work on our relationship with our Eastern Asian neighbors as well as with our neighbors who may be Pacific Islanders. That doesn't happen overnight. And I think things like what's happening right now with our county judge make that harder to build that trust, that we are all in this boat together. Things like this make it seem like every man for himself.